Dad Perfect Revents. Sir, I don't want to alarm you, but is there anyone else supposed to be in your house right now? George Anderson, my landscaper, whispered those words into his phone while I stood in my kitchen that Tuesday morning, and everything I thought I knew about my family was about to come crashing down. My name's Leonard Sullivan. I'm 58, been a widower for 5 years now, since Grace passed from cancer in 2019. Spent 30 years as a detective with Minneapolis PD, before transitioning into private security consulting. After Grace died, it was just me and my 2 sons in the house on Pine Valley Drive. Well, it was supposed to be just me and Nathan, my 32-year-old. Danny, my youngest at 28, had disappeared 5 years ago without a trace, or so I thought. That morning started like any other Tuesday. Nathan had left for his office at Sullivan & Sons Construction at 7:30 sharp, same as every day. Our family business had been my pride and joy for 25 years before I semi-retired and let Nathan take over the day-to-day operations. Danny had been set to inherit 40% when I passed, with Nathan getting the other 60% as the older son. George was mowing the front yard when he called around 8:45. I could hear the mower engine idling in the background, then suddenly shutting off. "What do you mean, George?" I asked, setting down my coffee and walking to the window. "I keep hearing this sound coming from your basement. Sounds like someone crying. Real soft, like they don't want to be heard. Been going on for about 10 minutes now." I looked out at George standing beside his mower, phone pressed to his ear, staring at the basement windows just above ground level. Those windows looked into what used to be Grace's craft room before we converted the basement into office space for the construction company. "Could it be carrying from next door?" I asked. "No, sir. I've mowed the Hendersons' yard for 15 years. This is definitely coming from your place. And it's not a TV or radio. This sounds real." My detective instincts kicked in. George wasn't the type to imagine things or create drama. He'd been doing our landscaping for 6 years, steady as a clock, never caused a problem. "I'll check it out," I told him. The basement stairs creaked as I went down, especially that 5th step, which had squeaked for years, no matter how many times I'd tried to fix it. Nothing seemed out of place in what we now called the office. Nathan used this space when he worked from home, which had been happening more often lately. The room looked normal enough. Large desk, filing cabinets, blueprints rolled up in the corner, a couple of client chairs. Everything neat and organized, just like Nathan always kept things. But something felt off. I noticed a water glass on the desk, condensation still clinging to the sides. Fresh water. Nathan had left at 7:30. It was now 8:45. If he'd needed water before leaving, why not grab it from the kitchen on his way out? Then I heard George's mower start up again, then shut off almost immediately. His footsteps on the front porch, then his voice calling down. "Mr. Sullivan, you find anything?" "Just a quiet basement," I called back, though the words felt wrong in my mouth. "I heard it clear," George said, appearing at the top of the stairs. He was a big man, about 50, with weathered hands and an honest face. A man crying, soft, like he was trying not to be noticed. That's when Nathan's car pulled into the driveway. His blue Ford pickup, same one he'd driven for 3 years. He came downstairs looking surprised to see us both there. "Dad? George? What's going on?" "George heard crying from down here," I said, watching my son's face carefully. 3 decades of interrogating suspects had taught me to read micro-expressions. Nathan laughed, but there was something forced about it. "Oh, that was probably my podcast. I worked late on the Henderson project last night and had some true crime thing playing. Must have forgotten to turn it off." He gestured toward his computer. These old houses carry sound weird, you know? It made sense. George's shoulders relaxed, and he apologized for the confusion. "Sorry I worried you folks," George said. "Better safe than sorry, right? With all the crazy stuff you hear on the news these days." After George left, I stayed in the basement. Something bothered me about that glass of water, about Nathan's quick explanation. As a detective, you learn that the most obvious explanations are usually right, but you also learn when something doesn't smell right. I'd heard Nathan come home the night before around 11. Our house wasn't that big, and sound carried. If he'd worked down here after that, I would have heard the basement door open and close. I definitely would have heard that 5th step creak. I started looking around more carefully. The back wall had been painted recently, same color as the rest of the basement, but the texture was different, smoother, newer, like someone had patched something and repainted. Over it, I knocked on it lightly with my knuckles. The sound came back hollow, not solid like it should have been against the foundation wall. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. "Everything okay?" George seemed worried. I typed back, "All good, false alarm." But as I climbed those stairs, hearing that fifth step creak under my weight, I knew it wasn't a false alarm at all. Something was very wrong in my house, and my son knew more than he was saying. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake what George had heard. As a detective, you learn to trust your gut, and mine was telling me something was seriously wrong. I started paying attention to things I'd been ignoring for months. Nathan had been making a lot of trips to the grocery store lately. I'd noticed it, but never really thought about it until now. Our food bills had doubled in the past year. When I asked about it, he said he was entertaining clients more often. "Business development, Dad," he'd explained just last week. "Got to wine and dine the big contractors if we want those commercial jobs. You know how it is." But I'd run Sullivan & Sons for 25 years before letting Nathan take over. We'd never spent that much on client entertainment. Most contractors were happy with coffee and donuts at the job site. I started going through our credit card statements more carefully. Charges at Target, Walmart, Cub Foods, sometimes 3 or 4 times a week. Always Nathan's card, always amounts between $50 and $150. When I added it up, we were spending nearly $800 a month on groceries. For 2 people. One evening around 10 p.m., I found Nathan in the kitchen loading a tray with sandwiches, fruit, and a bottle of water. He looked startled when I walked in. "Working late again?" I asked. "Big deadline on the Morrison project," he said, not quite meeting my eyes. "Probably be down there until midnight." But I stayed awake until 1 a.m., and I never heard him come back upstairs. More importantly, I never heard that fifth step creak. The next morning, I asked him how the late night went. "Got it finished around 11:30, he said. "Went straight to bed after." That was the moment I knew my son was lying to me. I called my old partner Vincent Torres, who'd left the force 5 years ago to become a defense attorney. We'd worked together for 12 years, and I trusted him more than anyone. "Vince, I need you to look into something for me. Quietly." "What's going on, Lenny?" "Danny's trust fund. Nathan's been the trustee since Danny disappeared. I want to see the account activity. You think Nathan's been dipping into it? I think something's not right, and I need to know what." 3 days later, Vincent called back. His voice was grim. "Lenny, you need to get down here, now, and bring your checkbook. You're going to want to hire me officially for this." At Vincent's office downtown, he spread documents across his conference table. Bank statements, transaction logs, withdrawal authorizations, all bearing Nathan's signature. Danny's trust fund started with $250,000 from Grace's life insurance, Vincent said. The plan was to let it grow until Danny turned 35, then release it to him. Conservative investments, steady growth. It should be worth about $320,000 by now. He slid a bank statement across the table. The current balance showed $73,847.32. "Nathan's been making regular withdrawals for the past 5 years, Vincent continued. "Always justified as living expenses or medical care for Danny, who's supposedly receiving treatment for psychological issues." I felt my stomach drop. What kind of treatment? According to the paperwork Nathan filed with the court, Danny's been in and out of private psychiatric facilities. Severe depression, anxiety, inability to function in normal society. The court granted Nathan discretionary access to fund his brother's care. Vincent handed me another document, but here's the thing, Lenny. I called every private psychiatric facility in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, and the Dakotas. I also checked Colorado, since that's where Nathan claims Danny's been receiving treatment most recently. And none of them have ever had a patient named Daniel Sullivan, not one. I even had them check for Danny registered under aliases or false names. Nothing. My hands went cold. How much has he taken? $176,152.68 over 5 years. Always an amount small enough not to trigger automatic court review. $2,000 here, $5,000 there. Never more than $10,000 at once. I thought about the crying George had heard, about the fresh water glass in the basement, about Nathan carrying food downstairs at night. "Vincent, I think Danny's been in my house this whole time." Vincent set down his pen and looked at me hard. "Lenny, that's a serious accusation. If you're right, we're talking about kidnapping, false imprisonment, fraud. Nathan would be looking at 20 to 30 years. If I'm wrong, I'm accusing my son of stealing from his missing brother. If I'm right, I've been living above my imprisoned son for 5 years while his brother slowly stole his inheritance. What do you want to do? I thought about it for a long moment. About Grace, who'd made me promise to take care of our boys after she was gone. About Danny, who'd always been the creative one, the dreamer, the kid who wanted to design beautiful buildings instead of just constructing them. About Nathan, who'd always been jealous of his younger brother's artistic talents. I want to search my own basement properly, and I want you on standby in case we find what I think we're going to find. That evening, while Nathan was supposedly at a client dinner at some restaurant across town, I went down to the basement with a tape measure, a flashlight, and my old evidence collection kit. The basement should have been a rectangle, 45 feet long, 30 feet wide. But when I measured the interior space, I kept coming up short. The back wall, the one that had been repainted, was cutting off about 15 feet of space. I studied that wall more carefully, running my hands along the paint, looking for seams or inconsistencies. In the corner, pressed tight against what should have been solid foundation, was a tall bookshelf filled with construction manuals and building codes. It looked like it had been there for years, but when I examined the base more closely, I found small rubber wheels hidden behind the wooden frame. And tucked behind the shelf, almost invisible unless you knew where to look, was a small electronic keypad with a red LED light. My heart started pounding. Nathan had built something back there, something he didn't want anyone to find. I tried to think like a detective. What code would Nathan use for something this important? This secret? I tried his birthday, 0712, for July 12th. Red light. I tried Danny's birthday, 0923, for September 23rd. Red light. I tried the date Grace died, 0418, for April 18th, 2019. The light turned green. The bookshelf unlocked and rolled aside on its hidden wheels. Smooth as silk. Behind it was a steel door with a deadbolt lock mounted on the outside. The deadbolt was unlocked. From behind that door came the faintest sound of breathing. "Danny," I whispered. The breathing stopped instantly. 5 seconds of absolute silence. Then, so quiet I almost missed it. "Dad?" My knees nearly buckled. I grabbed the door frame to steady myself. "Danny." "Oh God, Danny, is that you?" A sob broke through the steel door. Broken, desperate, full of 5 years of pain. "Dad, you found me. I knew you would. I kept hoping. I kept drawing pictures of you, and I knew someday you'd find me." I reached for the deadbolt to throw it open, but then I heard Nathan's truck in the driveway, the engine shutting off, his footsteps on the front porch. If he found me here, if he discovered I knew about this room, he'd have time to cover his tracks. He'd lawyer up, claim I was having some kind of breakdown, that finding this room was just a grieving father's delusion. I needed more than just finding Danny. I needed witnesses, documentation, evidence that would stick in court. "Danny," I whispered urgently, "I'm calling the police right now. I'm getting you out tonight, I promise. Do you understand me? Please don't leave me again," came the weak voice from behind the door. "I can't do this anymore. Please, I'm not leaving. I'm just going upstairs to call for help. You hear me? Help is coming. Tonight." I pushed the bookshelf back into place, my hands shaking so badly I could barely work the mechanism. The keypad beeped softly as it locked. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. 911? What's your emergency? This is Leonard Sullivan, 2847 Pine Valley Drive, Minneapolis. My son has been held prisoner in my basement for 5 years. He's alive. I need officers here immediately, and I need Detective Sarah Mitchell if she's available. Sarah had worked with me on several cases before I retired. She was thorough, professional, and smart as hell. "Sir, can you confirm you said, someone has been held prisoner for 5 years? My 28-year-old son, Danny. His brother has been keeping him locked in a hidden room. I just found him. Send units now." Nathan walked in through the front door as I was ending the call. He looked relaxed, even happy. "Hey, Dad, how was your evening? I had a great dinner with the Morrison project managers. Think we're going to land that shopping center contract." "That's good, son," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "How long you been at dinner?" "Since about 6:30. "Why?" It was now 9:15. "Just curious." You've been working a lot of hours lately." 20 minutes later, red and blue lights lit up Pine Valley Drive, 3 squad cars, an ambulance, and Detective Mitchell's unmarked sedan. Nathan's face went white when he saw them through the window. "Dad, what's going on? Why are the police here?" Detective Mitchell knocked on the door. I let her in, along with officers Luis Gonzalez and Patricia Williams. "Leonard," Sarah said, "we got your call." "Where's the location? Basement? Hidden room behind a false wall?" Nathan stepped forward, his voice shaking slightly. "Detective, I'm Nathan Sullivan. I think my father might be having some kind of episode. There's nothing in our basement except office space for our construction company." Sarah looked at both of us. "Mr. Sullivan, Nathan, we have a warrant to search this property based on credible evidence of unlawful imprisonment. If there's nothing to find, this will all be cleared up quickly." "I want a lawyer," Nathan said immediately. "That's your right," Sarah replied, "but we're going in now." I led them down to the basement. Nathan followed reluctantly, his hands visibly shaking now. At the bottom of the stairs, I showed them the bookshelf. "The code is 0418, I said. "April 18th, 2019. The day my wife died." Officer Gonzalez entered the code. The LED turned green, and the bookshelf rolled aside with that same smooth, silent movement. Behind it stood the steel door. "Detective." Mitchell pulled on latex gloves and pushed it open. The smell hit us immediately. Stale air, disinfectant, the unmistakable scent of a space where someone had been living but never allowed fresh air. Sarah shined her flashlight into the room. It was about 12 by 15 feet, a narrow bed with thin blankets and a flat pillow, a small desk with a simple chair, a portable toilet and tiny sink in the corner. The walls were covered, floor to ceiling, with drawings, hundreds of them. Architectural sketches, building designs, landscapes, and portraits, dozens and dozens of portraits of me. On the bed, curled against the wall, with one arm shielding his eyes from the sudden light, was Danny. He was thin, much too thin, with long hair and a scraggly beard. His skin was pale, almost gray, but it was him. Detective Mitchell stepped into the room carefully. "Hello," she said gently. "My name is Detective Mitchell. You're safe now. We're here to help you." Danny lowered his arms slowly, blinking, against the light. His eyes were sunken, hollow, but when they found me standing in the doorway, they filled with tears. "Dad," he whispered. I ran to him, dropped to my knees beside the bed, and wrapped my arms around him. He felt so small, so fragile, like he might break if I held him too tight. He was probably 40 pounds lighter than when he disappeared. "Danny," I choked out. "Oh God, Danny, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't find you sooner." He clung to me with what little strength he had. "You came," he whispered. "I drew you every day, and I knew you'd come eventually." Behind us, I heard Detective Mitchell reading Nathan his rights. "Nathan Sullivan, you are under arrest for kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, fraud, and conspiracy. You have the right to remain silent." Nathan didn't resist when Officer Gonzalez put the handcuffs on him. He just stood there, staring at Danny and me on that narrow bed, his face completely blank. "Why, Nathan?" Danny asked, his voice barely audible. "We were brothers. I loved you." Nathan opened his mouth like he was going to answer, then closed it again. He had nothing to say. The paramedics arrived and gently moved me aside so they could examine Danny. His legs had atrophied from 5 years of limited movement. His hands shook when he tried to sit up. But he was alive, and he was going to be okay. As they loaded him onto the stretcher, Danny grabbed my hand. "Don't leave me, Dad. I'm not going anywhere," I promised. "Not ever again." At the hospital, Danny told me everything. How Nathan had called him that night in April 2019, just 3 weeks after Grace's funeral, claiming there had been an emergency at one of our construction sites. How he'd driven out to an empty lot on the industrial side of town, where Nathan and his friend Trevor Phillips had staged a fake accident. "They made it look like I hit someone with my car," Danny said from his hospital bed. His voice was stronger now, but still shaky. "There was this mannequin, dressed like a person, fake blood everywhere. Trevor was wearing what looked like a police uniform. He said he was off duty but happened to be driving by. The doctor had said Danny was severely malnourished and would need weeks of careful monitoring, but he was going to make a full recovery. That was all that mattered to me. Nathan told me I'd killed a father of 2, named Eddie Murphy," Danny continued. "Said if I turned myself in, I'd get 15 to 20 years for vehicular manslaughter." Trevor backed him up, said the evidence was clear-cut. "But you didn't kill anyone," I said. "I know that now, Dad." "But then?" I was terrified. I just lost Mom. I wasn't thinking clearly. And my big brother was telling me he'd protect me if I just trusted him. Nathan's plan had been simple and cruel. Convince Danny he was a killer, offer him a place to hide temporarily while Nathan figured out how to minimize the legal consequences, then keep extending the timeline while slowly draining Danny's trust fund. He told me it would just be a few weeks, Danny said, then a few months. Then he said the victim's family was pushing for the maximum sentence, so we needed to wait longer. By year 2, I knew he was lying about everything, but I was too weak to fight back. The full scope of Nathan's planning came out during the investigation. He'd hired Carl Matthews, a contractor from Iowa, to build the hidden room in March 2019, right after Grace's funeral. $35,000 in cash, no permits, no inspections, no paper trail. "Your son was very specific about what he wanted," Matthews told Detective Mitchell during his interview. "Soundproof walls, ventilation connected to the main house system, so it wouldn't show up as unusual energy usage, a lock that only worked from the outside. When I asked why, he said it was for a family member with severe mental health issues who might be dangerous to himself." Trevor Phillips confessed to everything in exchange for a reduced sentence. He'd been Nathan's college roommate, deeply in debt from gambling and desperate for money. Nathan had paid off his $45,000 debt in exchange for help with the fake accident and occasional food deliveries to the hidden room. "Nathan told me Danny was unstable," Trevor said during his confession. He said his brother needed to be contained for his own safety and the safety of others. I believed him because who lies about something like that? But after the first year, when it became obvious this wasn't temporary, I started having doubts. That's when Nathan reminded me I was already in too deep to back out. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Nathan's defense attorney tried to claim he'd been protecting Danny, that his brother had genuine psychological problems and needed to be contained for his own safety and the safety of society. "My client acted out of love and concern," the lawyer argued. Daniel Sullivan had exhibited erratic and potentially dangerous behavior after their mother's death. Nathan was trying to get his brother the help he needed while protecting the family from scandal. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Margaret Foster, painted a different picture. "This wasn't love," she told the jury. "This was greed, plain and simple." Nathan Sullivan saw an opportunity to eliminate his competition for the family inheritance and took it. He imprisoned his own brother for 5 years, stole $176,000 from his trust fund, and would have continued indefinitely if not for his father's investigation. The evidence was overwhelming: the hidden room, the financial records, the testimony from Trevor Phillips and Carl Matthews. Most damning of all was Danny's own testimony. "Nathan wasn't protecting me," Danny said from the witness stand. "He was using me. Every few months he'd ask me to sketch building designs or review architectural plans. He said it was to keep my mind active, but really he was using my ideas for Sullivan and Sons projects. I designed the layout for the Morrison Shopping Center, the Henderson office complex, and at least a dozen other buildings that Nathan took credit for. The jury deliberated for less than 6 hours, guilty on all counts. Judge Patricia Wilson sentenced Nathan to 20 years for kidnapping and unlawful imprisonment, with possibility of parole after 12 years. "Mr. Nathan Sullivan," she said during sentencing, "you didn't act out of love or concern. You acted out of jealousy and greed. You stole 5 years of your brother's life and betrayed the trust of your father. The sentence of this court is 20 years in the Minnesota Correctional Facility." Nathan looked at me as they led him away in shackles. "I did it for the family business, Dad. Everything I did was to protect what we built together." I didn't respond. There was nothing to say to that kind of delusion. 6 months later, Danny and I sold Sullivan and Sons Construction. Neither of us could stomach running a business built on lies and betrayal. Danny used his share to start fresh, a small, architectural firm specializing in sustainable housing and community centers. We bought a new house together, a ranch-style place with lots of windows and an open floor plan. Danny insisted on that. "I need to see the sky, Dad. Always." He's doing well now. He's gained back most of the weight, started seeing a therapist twice a week, even began dating a nice woman named Rebecca who works at the local library. Some evenings we sit on the porch and Danny shows me his new designs. They're beautiful, Clean lines, open spaces, lots of natural light. Nothing hidden, nothing secret. People ask me if I hate Nathan. The honest answer is, I don't know. He was my son too. I raised him, taught him right from wrong, thought I'd given him everything he needed to be a good man. But somewhere along the way, jealousy and greed poisoned his heart. What I do know is this. If I hadn't trusted my instincts that day, if I hadn't listened to George Anderson hearing crying from my basement, Danny might still be down there, or worse. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones capable of the greatest betrayal. As a detective, I should have known that. As a father, I never wanted to believe it, but I did believe it when it mattered most. And that made all the difference. Danny was 20 feet below my bedroom for 5 years. 20 feet and a father's blind trust. The lesson here isn't just about family betrayal. It's about staying alert, asking questions, and never assuming that blood relations guarantee good intentions. Trust, but verify, even with family, especially with family. Because sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one who already has a key to your house. Sometimes the biggest threats to our family don't come from strangers in dark alleys. They come from the dinner table, wearing familiar faces and speaking words we want to believe. The difference between being a good father and being a foolish one isn't how much you love your children, but how willing you are to see them clearly when love tries to make you blind.